Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater, and again, pardon my mess. I'm working on different designs for the streaming when we do Hollywood After Dark over on Twitch.tv/ Three Buck Theater. But today, I was asked to talk about this whole situation involving Bob Iger reportedly coming back to Disney to take over during this crisis. And all things considered, it makes the most amount of sense that he would do so, considering that he ran the company for 15 years, brought it to its ultimate massive hype, to its height, to something that could probably never be topped ever. He set this bar, this legacy, only to have it almost entirely crumble like a house of cards a mere few weeks after he announced his departure by, well, forces outside of his control. So let's take a look here at the Deadline article. So they say that Bob Iger is going to be coming back into it. All right, so here's what it says. Bob Iger back in the saddle at struggling Disney, eyes ending upfronts and shaking up pilot season in post-pandemic world. And I think part of this has to do, if you want my honest opinion, with the fact that our media consumption is now going to be vastly, vastly different going forward. So this is what it says. It says, Disney announced on February 25th that Bob Iger would hand over the CEO role to longtime Disney executive Bob Chapek, but will stay on till the end of his contract as executive chairman to calmly oversee the content businesses. You gotta love that. It says calmly oversee it, right? That's not going to happen. But they say here that wasn't meant to be. Instead, he had to jump back in full steam ahead as the company he ran for 15 years struggles through one of the toughest periods in its history. And I love how the article makes it seem like it's only impacting Disney. Never mind the fact that Universal furloughed its staff, including its CEOs, that, movie theaters are on the verge of shutting down. Movie theaters are on the verge of not reopening. AMC's in the talks for Chapter 11 bankruptcy right now. I mean, obviously things are going to be very heavily moved and migrated over the span of the next year and a half. So yeah, it makes sense that Iger's kind of coming back to the foray. Now, the story in the New York Times on Monday said Iger's transition from a high-profile leadership role in the company has not surprisingly stalled as the coronavirus pandemic expanded, leaving Disney vulnerable on a variety of fronts, from shuttered theme parks and cruise ships to stalled productions. And again, this is everything Iger has built. Everything he has built, his entire legacy. He honestly, he released that memoir far too early in the game, right? Like, he's gonna have to release an amended version with a new epilogue, and it's all like post COVID-19. Here's how I saved Disney once again. Like still, F you, Eisner. You got nothing on COVID. Anyway, it says here, Disney announced on February 25th that Iger would hand over the role to Bob Chapek, but would stay on as executive chair. We talked about that one, saying that a crisis of this magnitude and its impact on Disney would essentially result in my actively helping Bob Chapek and the company contend with, particularly since I ran the company for 15 years. This is what he said to Ben Smith at the New York Times. Smith wrote that Iger is also discussing what the company will look like post-pandemic, beyond figuring out how to get theme parks back online, including the possibility of temperature checks. He has asked associates to explore permanent changes across businesses that might include ending expensive upfront advertiser presentations and no longer producing costly pilots for shows that might not air, which, again, that just makes the most amount of sense. Be a bit more frugal with this kind of stuff, because that's going to save you money in the back end. But again, if a pilot may not go to air, just dump it on Disney Plus and make it like an Amazon pilot program. Remember that pilot competition that they had, where they would release like 5 pilots and the audiences would vote on which ones they liked, and those are the ones that would then get brought up front? I mean, that could be an interesting competition, something for Disney Plus specifically. Let's see here. The reference to pilots wasn't followed up, and it's not clear what he meant. But the demise of the long-standing upfronts, where the bulk of advertising inventory for the year is sold, has been batted for years. They continue to fill a need for marketers and networks. This year, live events were canceled, replaced by virtual presentations in some cases, and there's speculation that they move to a calendar year to give the parties time for production to start up and the economy to restart. The NYT said Iger told associates he believed Disney may up with less office space and fewer employees. Iger told the paper that he did not recall ever having said he expected a smaller workforce, but in any case, it would be an issue for Chapek, and that is true. It would be an issue for Chapek to follow 100%. Not at all going to be questioning that one, because this is once this is done, this is all Chapek's fight, right? Once this whole thing is over, this is 100% Chapek's battle, and Iger's just going to have to like smooth the seas for the investors who are and the shareholders who are right now got to be freaking the hell out. They've got to be worried out the ass, unsure of what's going to happen next, unsure of where life is going to go. And that's where they're probably looking to him like, hey man, you've made us all just umpteen millions and millions of dollars over the span of the last 15 years. You've made some bold purchases. You've done a lot of things that have worked out well. We need that magic, Bob. We need you, Bobby. Come on back, Bobby. But the reality of it is this. I mean, no one could have predicted COVID, not to the extent of where it is right now. And him coming back on board does make the most amount of sense. And it does seem to me like ultimately this is the best course of action for Disney. And I don't think Chapek is going to stick around. If you want my honest opinion, I think if this thing goes on a lot longer, they decided on nearly 2 years of a leadership role as to kind of do the transition for Chapek. The theme parks are in as much disarray as anything else, probably more so because we're hearing that there's going to be about 2 years until they're able to start getting things back on track for that, right? And that's a long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if Chapek just ultimately steps down from the role as Disney CEO, and not like it's, he would probably do it begrudgingly. But it's possible that if Iger feels that the company is not where it needs to be, therefore devaluing his personal shares, of which he is the largest personal shareholder of Disney stocks, it would make the most amount of sense for him to stay on indefinitely, therefore pushing Chapek out. And I don't think Chapek's going to have much of a say in it, to be fair. Iger is the executive chair, and he's got the most personal shares. He's got as much pull as he did when he was still CEO. And so, yeah, now he just doesn't have the fall guy status. No, Chapek's going to be the fall guy, but Iger's going to be seen as the hero. And don't be surprised if this makes its way into some kind of 2024 presidential run, where if he saves the company, he'll be able to argue, well, we have one of the largest companies in the world during a global pandemic when the economy was stalled worldwide. I was able to come in out of my fresh retirement, roll up my sleeves and get everything back on track. And here we are now 4 years later, and we are more profitable than ever. Bob Iger 2020. That's what I'm thinking on that one. But anyway, I do want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions on this one. Let me know. Let me know if you guys like this layout. This is going to be the stream design. Again, under construction. So we're working on it. And I'll talk to you guys all later. Have yourself a great day. Thank you for watching, and peace out.